They plan to create a super World Bank that's going to absorb all the debts that the World Bank has created, and then from a basis. Every bank has to have capitalization. Well, the collateral in this bank is going to be the 34% of the Earth's surface, the Earth's land surface, something that's going to produce interest, dividends, earnings to keep the bank running and pay the employees and so on, and I don't see it in this bank. I see collateralization coming from worthless wilderness lands, and that's why they're wilderness lands, because nobody can get any economic order out of it. What's going on, Michael? And he said, we're working on that. I said, you don't have an answer as to how this bank is going to survive, and you're going to the IMF World Bank Congress at the end of this month? I laid out my fears to the table at which I was sitting, and I received confirmation from a World Bank authority who I cannot say. I cannot say their name, but they confirmed that my suspicions were correct. The United States is going to go down the tubes very shortly. When? Would you put on that tape by John D. Rockefeller IV, February 1st, 1988?
What's going to happen in 1988, but I do know in 1988 that we've got to lay our base for either this year or surely for next year. Because all of those people who are out there running for president are making the largest mistake of their personal and professional lives, because when one of them gets inaugurated in 1989, all of the chickens are coming home to roost. A reckoning in terms of the budget process, of bold action. It'll be the time for it because it'll be a new administration, and all kinds of old habits are going to have to go out the window if we are to survive as a nation.
Our world conservation dollar is the only dollar that's worth anything, because it's the only one that's capitalized and that has value behind it. But you know, as of this meeting, that there's no value in wilderness lands. And you also know at this meeting that there is no earnings engine in the World Conservation Bank. In other words, it is a fraudulent bank. And through countertrade, Rothschild and his bevy of bankers are going to debt swap and countertrade the United States. Every one of us, every city, every town, every state, every bit of wealth is going to be countertraded out of the country into the Royal Bank of Canada, which is the collection basin for the American swapping activities. Hitler came along touting the fatherland. Well, we're going to hear something even bigger than that. These guys are going to sell this World Conservation Bank as something that is helping Gaia, Mother Earth.
What I hear you saying is it's a big cover for a plan to save the wealth of the wealthy. Is that what's going on here? Is it that the powerful people in the world have designed a plan that will save their wealth and power? Is that what I hear you saying?
Yes, the World Conservation Bank is going to be the decoupling mechanism for the wealthy to disengage themselves from capitalism and go to the back of the bank, so to speak, and become the creditors of the bank and then wind up as the world's dictators. The World Conservation Bank scheme can unfold in different ways, but all paths lead to the collectivization of the world's people into a dictatorship by the elite. When the United States-Canadian Free Trade Agreement was signed, the World Conservation Bank was formally put into second gear, as instructions to the country's treasuries were embedded in the agreement to pursue the possibility of establishing this bank. Debt for nature and debt for conservation swaps are already being carried out in Ecuador and other countries, so things are rolling. And now to the next part, currency matters.